Welcome along then to the British Grand Prix. It's round 12 of season 15, wheel-to-wheel racing AL2 championship, and we are in the UK at Silverstone, just over 60 miles northwest of London, home of Formula One, home to 6 Formula One teams and several drivers in real life, and also several drivers in this league. So Silverstone then, the classic track. We're going to do 52 laps after qualifying today. It's a 3.66 mile circuit, one of the longest on the F1 calendar. It's got 18 corners, 8 to the left and 10 to the right, 2 DRS zones, and it's a fan favorite, a driver favorite. Should be a great race today as we are underway in qualifying. So then we have our first cars just leaving the pit lane for their first run of qualifying, just a single 18-minute qualifying session. And the tire situation in terms of strategies and which compound our drivers will have to pick from. We have the hardest tires in the Pirelli range available today, the C1, C2, and C3, and the soft tire will last a maximum of 27 laps. The medium will last a max of 39 laps, hard a maximum of 50 laps. So long tire life here, probably a one-stop race for everybody, so we should be seeing the majority of the grid going for that soft tire in qualifying. A couple out on the mediums for their first run. And here we have the first car that will start their flying lap. It is Steve-O in the AlphaTauri. Steve-O in good form, won the last couple of races, shown great pace in qualifying, and we'll ride on board with him. Get acclimated to the track. Flat out turn one here, swing it, touch the apex, get it back to the left side of the track into a very tight corner here. And then get it back to the right side of the track, swing it around, try to get down on the power early as you come onto the Wellington Straight. The first of 2 DRS zones. You see he's got DRS open. And then down into Brooklyn's a tricky corner to get right. Got to get a late apex here on the inside. And then get ready for left field. A long swooping corner. And you got to get on the power as early as possible, but at the same time keep it on the track. Flat out down the old pit straight as we come turn what used to be turn one. It's Copse, should be flat out in qualifying, and he takes it well there, comfortably within the track limits. And then to Maggots and Beckett's, one of my personal favorite corner sequences in Formula One. Steve-O gets through there and onto the second DRS zone. The hanger straight, diagonally across the straight, getting to the left-hand side of the track through Stowe, a very fast corner, just a couple of downshifts. Use all of the track on the exit. And then a really slow corner here, keep it tight on the left side. And getting on the power as early as possible, flat out on the last corner. And a smooth lap from Steve-O. And Ted puts in a time on the medium tire, a 1:27.3, and dastardly. Moves Ted down as Dastardly puts a 127.1 in. So we see a letdown of state invalidated, which is very easy to do. This track limits can be very difficult, especially in Sector 2, through Cops and Maggots and Beckets. CHM and Prev putting some good times in. We are on board with Old Dad's Rule. He's on a lap. Coming through Beckett's now. Old Dad's Rule puts in a very competitive time at 126.8. It's good enough for P2 at the moment. Still a lot of cars not having put in a lap yet, as we see a letdown of state onto the grass there. Just making sure he keeps out of the way of the Racing Point and the Red Bull. Now we are with our championship leader, Just Mikey. We'll be looking to have a good result today. Last week it wasn't one of his favorite tracks at the Red Bull Ring, and he wasn't able to get on the podium, but it'll look to be back on the podium today. We'll see what time he can come up with. Flat out on the power and across the line, good enough for P2. So a good lap from our championship leader. And now Bannister looks to be starting a flying lap. Nice and tidy through Village. And he's able to get on the power really early. DRS open. Down the Wellington Straight. And Bannister sets up purple Sector 1. Really good stuff from the Mercedes driver. Now we see him flat out down the old pit straight into Cops, a really tricky corner. You got to get the turn-in point right, and he looks to have done so there. Into Maggots and Beckets, this can really make or break your lap here. And he keeps it well within the track limits. On the power early, onto the hanger straight. And he has set a purple Sector 2 as well, so Bannister on track for a very quick lap. You see him coming around Club on the power, flat out. And he is just behind Steve-O in P2. So Bannister, quickest through the first two sectors, but lost time in the last sector, not able to beat Steve-O's time. But still a very competitive 125.823. And now we have Steve-O on his second run. So that's a purple sector 1, so improving so far on his already really quick 125.7 that he's already set. See how he gets on in sector 2. Looks really quick through Maggots and Beckett's. And a purple sector 2, so a really quick lap here for Steve-O. It's a little bit wide through Stowe, but that won't cost him too much time. Into the Vale chicane. Flat out on the power and across the line. And he sets an incredible lap. Half a second down on his previous lap, which was already the fastest in the session. Steve-O sets a 125.1. A huge gap to the rest of the field. And Prev up to 6th as he improves. Now we're on board with the Ferrari driver of a letdown of state. Swinging it around the final corner, and he gets a time on the board and is 11th fastest. Oh, and Strident onto the grass. That'll invalidate his lap. Still a lot of time left for the drivers out on track. They'll have time to pit, change tires, and get one more run in. We have Bannister on an outlap, Chewy also on an outlap, and CHM and Sega as well. So Bannister looked like he had the pace to challenge Steve-O for pole after Steve-O's first lap. But then Steve-O on his second run put up a ridiculous time of 125.1, and it's a tall task for Bannister and the rest of the field if they want to snatch pole position from him. And so the man who's gotten closest to Steve-O in qualifying so far today, starting his second flying lap. Looking to get on the power early, carry as much speed as possible onto the Wellington Straight. Now into Brooklands and invalidated his lap. Still time for Bannister to get in the pits and get one more run in, as Chewy sets a lap and jumps into third. ahead of our championship leader, Mikey. And now we have CHM on a lap, and he improves through Sector 2. So CHM looking to move up a couple of places if he can keep up the pace in the final sector. Using all of the track on the exit of Stowe. Heavy braking right at the 100-meter board. Goes a little wide there. On the power early. We'll see how much he can improve by. And he moves up into 7th. A good lap from CHM, improving by over 3/10. And it looks like Prev will be our next driver to start a flying lap. See, it's flat out coming around the final corner. Now flat out through Abbey. Nice and easy. Flat out there, and then heavy braking into Village. And then using all the track on the exit. Try to get the power down as early as possible. DRS open. Now into Brooklands. Goes a little wide there. Won't cost him too much time if he can keep it tidy around Luffield. Using all of the track on the exit. Getting on the power early. Down the old pit straight toward Cops. A little downshift just to help keep the car on the track. Now into Maggots and Beckett's. Need to get a good exit here to get on the hanger straight with maximum speed. And he's slower in Sector 2 than his previous lap. So we have Strident on a lap, and he has improved through Sector 2. So can Strident improve and move up from 8th? No, he cannot. Still 8th for Strident. And we have his teammate, Old Dad's Rule, as a letdown of state, jumps into 9th. Old Dad's Rule on a flying lap. DRS wide open as he's coming down the Wellington Straight and into Brooklands. Nice and tidy through Beckett's and a good exit onto the hanger straight. And he is 3/10 down through Sector 2. A good lap from Old Dad's here. Can he keep it going into Sector 3 through Stowe? Using all of the track on the exit, keeping as much speed as he can and heavy braking. Now just club left. Can he get on the power early? Flat out and up to 5th. A good lap from him, and now we ride on board with our championship leader Mikey, who has a purple Sector 2. Can Mikey challenge Steve-O for pole position here? He'll be looking to at least get on the front row, but a tough task. He has a lot of time to make up overall, but a purple Sector 2, we'll see how much he improves by here. And he's 4/10ths down, but it's not enough to change his position. Still 4th for our championship leader. So it's another pole for Steve-O then. A really impressive time of a 125.1, over 4/10ths separating him from the rest of the pack. So it's Steve-O on pole once again, Chewy in 2nd, Bannister 3rd, our championship leader Mikey in 4th, Old Dads in 5th, Dastardly in 6th, Prev 7th, CHM 8th, in 9th we have Strident, a letdown of State in 10th, Sega in 11th, and Ted 12th. So an exciting qualifying session, and we'll have a short break and then lights out in just a few minutes. So then just a few minutes from lights out here at Silverstone, known as the home of Formula One. It was home to the first Formula One World Championship race in 1950, won by Nino Farina of Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo dominant in those early days of Formula One, as they had the top 3 positions in that first race. So an interesting history of this track: it was a former World War II Royal Air Force base, and it's been restructured several times. We've been racing on its current layout since 2011. And Lewis Hamilton has broken all kinds of records here in the last year or two, and he has set the record for most all-time British Grand Prix wins with 7. He did that in round 3 of this season. And that race, pretty dramatic finish, as Hamilton got a puncture on the final lap and really finished the race on 3 wheels. And then later, as we came back to Silverstone, back-to-back weeks here in 2020 for round 3 and round 4, Max Verstappen was able to win in the 70th anniversary Grand Prix. It was another exciting race. This track, a fan favorite, usually produces great racing, produced a great race in 2019 and 2 good races here in 2020. Unfortunately, in 2020, no fans allowed, has a capacity of 150,000 normally, and it's usually an electric atmosphere. Unfortunately, this year we weren't able to experience that, but still great racing on the track. And the lap record set this year in the British Grand Prix, the race record was set by Max Verstappen as a 127.097, and the outright lap record set in qualifying by Lewis Hamilton, a 124.3. And just to go over the tires once again, it will be a dry race today. So our tires are the hardest in the Pirelli range, C1, C2, and the C3. And it seems like everybody has gone for the soft tire to start on, so they'll be looking to take those somewhere between 17 to 20 laps for the first stint. And then likely a switch to the medium tire, as long as there's no safety cars or anything like that messing with people's strategies. So likely a soft medium strategy, just a simple one stop. But if the hards are needed, they can go about 40 to 45 laps with decent pace before they start falling off. So tire degradation, not a huge problem around here. Should be a pretty simple strategy for our drivers. Not too much to think about, but there is always a chance of a safety car here. Some really tricky spots, especially in that sector 2 around Cops and Maggots and Beckett's. Some tricky corners. Always the chance of going off and causing a safety car, so we'll have to watch out for that. And then just to remind you of our championship standings, we have just Mikey in first on 181 points. He's only won one race this season, Mikey, and it was the first race in Australia, but he's been the most consistent driver all season, being on the podium all but 3 races. And he'll be looking to get back on the podium this week after missing out in Austria. Second, we have Dastardly, the Ferrari driver, and then Bannister, Steve-O in fourth, but he's been in great form lately, winning the past 2 races. And he'll be looking to get another race win and keep moving up the standings today. Fifth, we have a letdown of State. Then in sixth, we have Sega. Then CHM in seventh, Prev in eighth, and Ted down in 10th in the standings. 11th, we have Strident. And then we have Old Dad's Rule down in 15th for our drivers today. For the constructor standings, we have Renault leading the way with 257 points. 47 points behind them, we have Ferrari. And then we have Mercedes in third, and in fourth, we have Williams. Williams with a great showing last week, nearly getting 2 drivers on the podium, but still a great result in Austria nonetheless. And then in fifth, we have AlphaTauri. Then Red Bull in sixth. Seventh, we have Alfa Romeo. Eighth, we have Racing Point. And then Haas and McLaren, both unused so far, not a point for those teams. Charlie Fluff is predicting at least two cars backwards out of turn 1. A comment on the stream, and it wouldn't be surprising. Turn 1, normally a flat out corner, but it can be so difficult going too wide through there right off the start. You're trying to be aggressive and make up positions, and a lot of incidents can happen through Abbey turn 1. Should be a fun one, and we're getting close to lights out here. Just a few seconds before the drivers will be in their cars for the formation lap. We will have 52 laps of racing today. 3.66 mile circuit, one of the longest on the F1 calendar. 18 corners, 8 to the left and 10 to the right, 2 DRS zones. A really fast track. Usually produces really entertaining racing, and we're looking forward to another one today. So one battle to watch. We have our championship leader, Just Mikey, in fourth behind Bannister, who's been in good form lately. But he is behind Mikey in the championship standings, so Mikey will be looking to keep it that way. Bannister will be looking to close the gap. So something to watch for, that second row off the line so you can get the advantage on lap 1. Both Bannister and Mikey really quick. And they love a good fight, and they always keep it clean. That's the most important thing. As we go down Old Dad's rule with a good qualifying position of 5th, we have Dastardly, who is 2nd in our championship standings, down in 6th. He'll be looking to make up some spots. Prev 7th, CHM in 8th, Strident in 9th, a letdown of State in 10th, and the 2 Williams drivers 11th and 12th. The drivers come back onto the main straight and slot into their grid positions as we get ready for lights out in just a second. And 5 lights are on. Boogity, 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 we are underway at Silverstone. And the man on pole, Steve-O, gets away well and he's leading into turn 1. What a start from Bannister, he's up to 2nd. Chewy under pressure now. And he goes wide and Old Dad's looks to be up into 3rd. Old Dad's goes wide. And now we have Dastardly making a move. Up to 4th, what a start for him. Down the Wellington straight. Dastardly looking to have a move on Chewy. Can he get it done? Chewy defending well. And Chewy is able to keep 3rd. Mikey in 5th, the 2 racing points just behind him. Oh, what a start that was. And after all of that, we have Steve-O with over a 1 second gap already and Bannister trying to chase him down. After Chew, we have Dastardly and Mikey and the 2 racing points of Strident and Old Dad's, all so close together. As we have a letdown of State getting past Prev. So a letdown of State making up a couple of positions on the opening lap. And we have Mikey really close to Dastardly here. No DRS active yet. Oh, DRS. No DRS yet. This is lap 2, I believe. So the display is doing all sorts of things. But Mikey's still right on the back of the Ferrari of Dastardly. Not much in it as we have a yellow flag in Sector 2. It's green now as we try to make our way back up to the fight. And Dastardly right on the back of Chewy. And he's got to back off. Dirty air can be so difficult through this part of the track. And another yellow flag, but we're green now. As Old Dad's rule looks to have dropped back a few places. As Steve-O puts in another fastest lap, he's really checking out here, Steve-O. Increasing his gap. So then the two drivers at the top of the championship standings, Mikey and Dastardly, the closest two on the track at the moment, less than half a second separating them, and they'll both have DRS as Dastardly is within a second of the car in front of him, which won't help Mikey. So we have Old Dad's Rule getting in front of Sega. Sega starting on the medium tires, so Old Dad's might just have that grip advantage here in the opening laps. As Ted gets a 3-second time penalty, our first penalty of the day. Oh, and Dastardly goes a little bit wide. As they go side by side. And Mikey is ahead. And a letdown of State continuing to make up positions. And Mikey will be looking to make another move on Chewy's, is within DRS range of that Red Bull. Within half a second now down the Wellington straight. Mikey fourth on the grid, not the best opening lap from him, but he's making up positions now. Gotten back to fourth. And he'll be looking to make a move on the Red Bull in front of him. He's really closing the gap now. Chewy goes a little bit wide at Cops. And Mikey right on the back of him as they go into Maggots and Beckett's. Can Mikey get a good exit here onto the hanger straight? DRS wide open, and surely he's got to get the move done as he glides past the Red Bull. And Mikey's up into third. As we have Prev going round the outside of the Ferrari of a letdown of State. And Old Dad's just behind looking to join the action. As Prev gets back into seventh. But a letdown of State not giving it up, fighting it through Club. As they come onto the main straight. Old Dad's going to the inside of the Ferrari and getting ahead of the Ferrari. Into Abbey, both cars go wide. Great action here. Now can Old Dad's look to make a move on the Red Bull in front. Down the Wellington straight, he'll have DRS. Looks like he'll be just a bit too far back to go for a move. And a letdown of State taking a little bit of a dip in the gravel there. Down toward Cops. As we see Ted closing in on CHM. Ted will look to have a good exit here onto the hanger straight as CHM dips a wheel in the grass. Ted with DRS, but look at the straight line speed of CHM. He's not giving it up at all. Great straight line speed from the Renault. And he'll fight it, but Ted is through on the inside. Up into 11th. Now Old Dad's right on the back of Prev. So we see Dastardly with DRS on Strident, but too far back to make a move. And Old Dad's will have DRS. Switches to the inside and looks to have the move done. A great move from Old Dads there. So we see Chewy get his first penalty of the day. Now the Ferrari driver under more pressure, as Sega's right on the back of him through Maggots and Beckett's here. Sega getting a little bit out of whack through Beckett's, and that might have compromised his chance of a move down the hanger straight, but he's closing quick now. So we see Strident and Dastardly going wheel to wheel. And the Ferrari driver looking to have a go at the inside in turn one. And he is ahead. And now Strident might be looking to have a go down the Wellington straight. He'll have DRS. If he can get a good exit here, he'll have a good chance of making a move. Dastardly with a really good exit there and not much defending to do. He switches to the middle of the track just to be sure, and Dastardly stays ahead. The two Williams drivers, both on the medium tire, down in 10th and 11th. We know their pace is much better than that, and they'll be looking to make up some positions here. And Ted right on the back of his teammate, both with DRS. And will Ted have a go down the inside at Stowe? And he's ahead of his teammate. Strident continuing to put pressure on Dastardly here. A battle that's been going on for a couple of laps now. They go through Brooklands and into Luffield. He's closed the gap with the help of DRS, but not able to get close enough to have a move. And now Ted right on the back of the Ferrari. A letdown of state, facing all kinds of pressure these opening laps. And Ted will be right on the back of him through Maggots and Beckett's. Not really a chance to overtake here. He'll just have to wait until the hanger straight and try to get a good exit here. He goes a little bit wide, and that might compromise his chances. He's able to keep it on the track for the most part. Not much overtake to work with, and it looks like a letdown of state will stay ahead for the time being. As we jump back up to Strident and Dastardly. Dastardly able to stay ahead, but not able to break that 1 second window. So Strident able to get DRS for the last couple of laps, but now Dastardly looking to break that 1 second gap. And will Strident get DRS here? He was right around that 1 second mark at the detection zone. And it doesn't look like he'll get DRS. So advantage to the Ferrari driver there for extending the gap at the DRS detection point. Gap over 1 second. Ted continuing to put the pressure on the other Ferrari driver. Right on the back as they go through Brooklands, and he's right on the back of them as they come out of Luffield. He looks at the inside into Kops, but chooses just to stay behind for the time being. He's right on the back of him if he can just stay this close through Maggots and Beckett's, but it's so difficult to do there, as you see so much dirty air throwing the car all over the place. But he's close enough if he has enough overtake, which he doesn't have much, and he has to turn off overtake just to preserve that last little bit of battery. A letdown of state. Still ahead for the time being. Ted all over the back of him here, but just can't seem to be close enough at the right moment to have a go at the overtake. He gets a little loose there through Abby. And he'll have DRS once again on the Ferrari driver. Be looking to close the gap down the Wellington Straight. This seems to be the part of the lap where Ted really closes the gap, but he just can't get in front. As he has a look down the right side of a letdown of state as they go into Maggots, but he just has to bail out. Ted finding it really difficult to get past a letdown of state here. Keeps getting right on the back of him in Sector 2 as they go through Maggots and Beckett's, but he's not able to stick close enough through those corners to have a go down the Hangar Straight. It can be so difficult with the dirty air through Maggots and Beckett's. And Ted looking like he's struggling with that, but he's stayed close to him. So far here, he might be close enough to have a go down the Wellington Straight. As he's got overtake available, he's got it on, got DRS open. Can he have a go into Brooklyn's? A letdown of state just staying ahead. Letdown of state. Under pressure here, down the old pit straight into Kops. Is this where Ted makes his move? No, he just backs out at the last moment. That can be such a difficult spot for a driver. He had a look at the inside, but it's so risky to go for a move through Kops. And he just thinks better of it and backs out, and he'll look to have a move as he gets on the grass a little bit on the exit. Not much overtake left, and the pattern continues as Mikey sets a new fastest lap. The pattern continues for Ted not being able to get this move done. You have to think as a letdown of state carries on defending. Those soft tires are going to start to fade here in a few laps. All of our top 9 drivers on the soft tire to start with. No safety car or virtual safety car yet. No reason for anybody in the top 9 to pit. As they carry on with those soft tires, we'll be looking to do so for at least another 7 or 8 laps before they really start to fall off. And here goes Ted down the Wellington Straight, down the inside. Can he get the move done? Leaves just about enough space for the Ferrari driver, and he goes wide around left field. Can he stay ahead? As a letdown of state is right on the back. He's got loads of overtake to work with, the Ferrari driver. So maybe he'll be looking to have a go at him. If he can stay close enough to have a move down the next DRS straight. Now through Maggots and Beckett's. And a letdown of state will get DRS. Ted just getting onto the grass a little bit there on the exit. onto the hanger straight now. A letdown of State deploying all the battery that he can. Closing the gap, and he'll look to go down the inside, but just backs out at the final moment there. So Ted finally able to get the move done on a letdown of State, but a letdown of State nearly challenging to get that position back. But it looks now like Ted has got that 9th position and he can push on the medium tires, which will probably be in better shape at this point in the race than the soft tires on that Ferrari. He's able to stay in DRS range here. Not able to get nearly close enough to a move. Now I suspect the strategy might be for letdown of State, just try and stay in DRS range as long as you can. But it will be a struggle on those soft tires that are fading quick, and Ted with great pace on those mediums as Ted extends the gap well over a second here. As we jump to the other Ferrari driver, closing the gap on the car in front, which is Chewy in the Red Bull. He is right around that 1 second mark. So if he can get in that DRS window, he might continue to close the gap and have a move. He used overtake down the main straight, and he is within that DRS 1 second window as Chewy has a little bit of a lockup going around the loop. Onto the Wellington straight, DRS for Des. So after a crazy start and an action-packed opening 13 laps that we've had so far, Steve-O maintaining his gap out in front. And a really good start from Bannister as he was able to get up into second. Mikey has been able to get up into third. Chewy, who started second, has dropped down to fourth. Dastardly has made up 1 place, he's in fifth. Strident made up a few places. He is in 6th. Old Dad's dropping back a couple of places. He's now in 7th. Prev dropping back a place. He's in 8th. Ted making up 3 places so far. And he's looking good on those mediums. He's in 9th. A letdown of State hasn't made up or lost any positions. Same with Sega in 11th. And CHM dropping 4 places. May have been involved in something lap 1. It was hard to tell. But he's dropped 4 places down to 12th. And now we're on board with the Ferrari driver as he looks to have a move, and there's contact! And the Ferrari driver is off! Strident goes through. Dastardly down to 6th. Contact between Dastardly and Chewy as he looked to have a move into Brooklyn's down the inside. And I'm sure that one will be looked at by the stewards. 2 drivers who, I must say, are normally so clean. I've raced with both of them. Never any contact. But they come together there, and Dastardly really getting the short end of the stick as he goes off the track. Loses a lot of time and a position. As Bannister puts in a new fastest lap as we're on board with Ted, looking to make up another position. Not close enough to have a go, but a really good exit out of Stowe. Can he go down the outside? Still behind the Red Bull for the time being as they come round club onto the main straight. as our championship leader Mikey is into the pits already on lap 16. The first pit stop of those front runners on the soft tire, switching to the medium. Now Ted with overtake and DRS looking to close the gap down the Wellington Straight. Too far back though to have a move into Brooklands. And a big lockup there as he breaks that little bit too late. Likely dealing with some dirty air, which can be really challenging in those medium to high speed corners. And he's right on the back of that Red Bull. And he's continuing to close the gap as Prev goes a little wide on the exit of Copse there. Through Maggots and Beckett's. Ted will just be looking to maintain this gap. If he can get a good exit here onto the hanger straight, he'll have DRS. He's got overtake on. DRS open right on the back of that Red Bull in the slipstream. Which way is he going to go? Switches to the outside, looking to get the move done through Stowe. And he's not able to do so. Great driving from Prev to defend that position. Ted's still right on the back though as they come onto the main straight, and a little bit of oversteer there from Ted. Just having to correct that as the rear end started to slip out from him. But good driving from him to keep that under control and staying right on the back of the Red Bull. He'll have DRS once again here. Down the Wellington Straight, got overtake. And he looks to have a go at the inside of Brooklands. Can he get the move done here? He is ahead of the Red Bull. Can he make it stick through Luffield? Yes, he can. Nothing Prev could do about that one, but Ted gets a little bit loose on the exit of Luffield. And now Prev having to go down the old pit straight as they come into Copse. Prev is ahead, and on the inside, Ted going round the outside and taking the position back as they go into Maggots and Beckett side by side. And Ted able to get back in front for the time being, but Prev will have... He doesn't have DRS, as he's not able to close the gap down the hanger straight. What a battle that was, and Ted ultimately able to get the move done. As we see Mikey on those fresh medium tires, putting in a fastest lap of the race. And he has a little bit of traffic in front of him in the shape of a letdown of state, and that Ferrari is letdown of state on those old soft tires that he started the race on. So Mikey will be looking to clear him as fast as possible, not losing much time. And he's already right on the back of him, cutting the gap by about a second already through the first half of the lap, and he's looking to have a go, but backs out into Copse. And if he can just stick on the back of him through Maggots and Beckett's, he'll have DRS down the hanger straight. He's got plenty of overtake to work with. Can he get the move done on a letdown of state? He wants the inside through Stowe. Can he get the move done? A letdown of state stays ahead for the time being. Mikey looking to clear this traffic. He pit early. And this can be a drawback of trying an undercut, getting caught in traffic of slower cars that haven't pit yet. And this might prove to be a setback for Mikey later in the race, as This undercut won't be as effective as he's getting held up now by the Ferrari. He'll be looking to get the move done here. He'll have DRS down the Wellington straight. Can he close the gap enough? He's not using overtake, and he's too far back to have a move into Brooklands. Can he get a good exit out of Luffield? He's got overtake if he wants it, but he's just holding off here. And he's right on the back of the Ferrari driver. And he just has to slow up there. Make sure that there's no contact through cops. And he's just saving his battery now. You have to think he'll deploy it right on the exit. Onto the hanger straight. He's got overtake. He's got DRS. Can he get the move done this time around? Switches to the outside. Down the hanger straight. And he swings it into Stowe. And he goes a little bit wide there and gets a penalty. So he gets the move done. But it has cost him 3 seconds. You see another 3-second penalty this time for Prev. See, old dads has come into the pit and put on the medium tire. And Mikey able to clear letdown of state, and will be looking to get on with his race, as he's really battling with that top three of Steve-O and Bannister. Tried the undercut, got held up by the Ferrari just a little bit, and we'll have to see what the gap is after everybody pits. It will be something to watch there. CHM now, right on the back of the Williams of Sega. Sega just coming out of the pits. CHM at the moment is within that 1 second window, so he will get DRS down the hanger straight. Too far back to have a move into Stowe. He will be pacey on those fresh soft tires. Sega in front on the mediums. You see the Renault continuing to close the gap as they come onto the main straight. CHM with DRS once again. As we have 3 cars in the pits. Chewy, Strident, and Dastardly all coming in now. And it will be interesting to see as Mikey goes through. He will pass all of them. And where will they come out? It looks like Chewy will be 7th. Strident coming out just in front of his teammate. And Strident will have doesn't have DRS, but he's right on the back of Chewy. As Mikey has gotten in front of Prev. So Mikey making up a lot of positions here in the last lap, as there's been pit stops and an overtake there for the Renault driver. Now Chewy under pressure from behind. Strident and Old Dad's Rule right behind the two Racing Point drivers. Chewy quick through the second sector though. Fastest of anybody so far. And he keeps the lead into Stowe. And now we have the other Red Bull, Prev, coming into the pits. And now everybody is pit except for the front two drivers, Bannister and Stevo, on the soft tire, as well as Ted on the mediums. As we have a Racing Point off. Yellow flag for Strident. And he's really struggling now. With tire temperatures, they'll be through the roof after he spun off. Really unlucky there, and he's struggling again. But he's able to keep it on the track. And our race leader has come in. So Stevo into the pits. And Stevo will come out in second. Bannister now the race leader, but yet to pit. Still holding those soft tires that he started on. And Strident is off once again. Not a good lap for the Racing Point driver. Really struggling here. He's lost several positions and a lot of time. And a letdown of state has pit. Switches to the medium tires. Those mediums will likely be fine to go to the end from this point for everybody that has pit in the last few laps. A fairly easy one stop here at Silverstone. So we see CHM sticking to the back of Sega within that 1 second. And Bannister has come into pit. So Stevo retakes the lead. Bannister a couple of seconds behind. Ted 3 seconds behind him. Mikey putting the pressure on Ted now. He'll have DRS down the Wellington Straight. Oh, and Mikey looking to have a go. And he's ahead on the exit of Luffield. Ted just went a little bit wide there, and Mikey takes advantage, and he's up into third. Now Ted will have DRS on Mikey, and he'll look to fight to get that third place back, but he's too far behind as they go into Stowe. Mikey on much fresher tires, only 8 laps old for Mikey. Ted on 24 lap old mediums as he goes wide there and gets a penalty. And he stays within DRS range of Mikey. Not a good exit onto the Wellington Straight. He's got overtake. He's got DRS now, but Mikey is still comfortably ahead. Mikey looking to push that gap over a second now. CHM still on the back of Sega. It's right on the back of them as they go through left field. And has something happened to Ted here? He's lost so much time. There was a yellow flag, and he's off! A spin from Ted! As he looks to rejoin the track safely. His tires will be absolutely on fire at this point. He's got to be really careful. Sega able to keep this position despite having CHM right behind him for several laps now as Strident, after really struggling for a couple of laps, has retired in the pits. Unfortunate for Strident, he was running a good race, but things really took a turn in a bad way for the Racing Point driver, and we're down to 11 cars in this race. Ted pitting to the hard tire. CHM still putting the pressure on the Williams of Sega, but still not able to get close enough to have a move. And a problem for Sega there as CHM is up into 9th. So the two Williams drivers, after such a strong showing last time out at the Red Bull Ring, down in 10th and 11th. We know their pace is much stronger than what's showing here. Still a long way to go, but so far not what the Williams team was hoping for today. So after the full cycle of pit stops, Steve-O is still in the lead. Bannister just keeping him honest with a little bit of a gap, but still within striking distance there at just over 2 seconds. Bannister comfortably in second ahead of Mikey. Our championship leader running in third. And 11 seconds behind him is Chewy in fourth. Old Dad's Rule in fifth. Dastardly in sixth. Prev in seventh. Ferrari of a letdown of state in 8th, CHM in 9th, and the two Williams in 10th and 11th. Now Bannister is closing that gap to Steve-O in front. It's now under 2 seconds. And last week, nobody really able to match the pace of Steve-O at the Red Bull Ring. He's won 2 races in a row now. He had a narrow victory in France, a more comfortable victory last week. But Bannister looks to be very competitive here at Silverstone. Steve-O just able to maintain the gap at about 1.8 seconds. Bannister looked to be closing in for a couple of laps. He got it under 2 seconds, but hasn't been able to chip away any more in the last lap or so. As they come through the third sector, through Stowe, into the Vale chicane, and is now 1.7 seconds back as they go flat out through Abbey. Such a fast corner. And then into Village, the first braking zone, turn 3 into Village. And then flat out now at 1.5 seconds, so Bannister slowly but surely closing that gap to Steve-O as they come through Brooklands. It's looking really good for Bannister here. So he continues to close the gap, now at 1.3 seconds. Now under 1.3 seconds. If he continues like this, Bannister, he will be within striking distance in just a few laps' time. Still a long way to go in this one. 20 laps to go. And Bannister looking to challenge Steve-O. He's cut the gap that was over 2 seconds down to 1.5 seconds. And he gets a really good exit out of club, and it's 1.3 seconds as we start lap 33 of this race. Now we go down to the Williams drivers. Ted right on the back of his teammate. Ted having to go to the hard tire after starting on the mediums. And Sega gets a little bit in the grass there through Copse. And Ted will be looking to have DRS down the hanger straight. And he gets a little bit loose on the exit. So Ted putting pressure on his teammate, but not able to stick with it long enough to make a move as he gets a little bit loose coming onto the hanger straight there and losing a couple seconds. Now back up front with Bannister and Steve-O, the gap at 1.2, 1.3 seconds as we come through club, finishing lap 33 of this race, starting lap 34. And this is a track where DRS can be very, very helpful. So if Bannister can just get a couple of tenths, as he gets a good exit onto the Wellington straight, the gap now 1.1 seconds. But if Bannister can get within DRS range of Steve-O, he can really start to close that gap and look to have a move. As Mikey pitting for some softs, so a two-stop strategy for our championship leaders. He's dropping down to 6th as he comes out of the pits. So an interesting call from our championship leader, going for a two-stop when I think most drivers have a relatively easy one-stop strategy. Mikey elects to pit and go onto the soft tire. So Chewy is now up to 3rd. And Mikey down to 6th after that pit stop. Bannister looking really competitive here, but Steve-O has been able to just maintain that gap, keeping it over 1 second, so he stays out of immediate danger for the time being. Bannister on 1 lap younger tires, which may give him a slight advantage at some point in the closing stages. As we have the Renault of CHM coming into the pits now. He had to pit early on, went onto the soft tire. And he looks to be going on to the medium, which will comfortably take him to the end of this race. So Mikey, after coming out of the pits on those fresh soft tires, is looking rampant. Fastest lap for our championship leader Mikey on those fresh soft tires, and he's closed the gap to Dastardly in front, now within DRS range. Through the detection zone, he'll get DRS down the Wellington Straight, right on the back of Dastardly, getting a good exit out of the loop onto the Wellington Straight. He's got plenty of overtake to work with. Will he have to move into Brooklands? And Dastardly stays ahead for the time being. So Mikey looking to make back those places that he lost on that pit stop, not wasting any time, getting right up to the back of Dastardly. And Dastardly will likely have some defending to do here as they come on to the hangar straight. Mikey just saving up his battery for the time being, not looking to have a move this lap into Stowe. Dastardly dipping a wheel in the grass there, but he stays ahead for the time being. So these are our top two championship leaders here. First and second in our championship standings. Mikey in first, Dastardly in second in the standings. But they're the other way around on the track. Dastardly in ahead of Mikey, but Mikey on those fresh soft tires. As we see, Bannister has now closed the gap to within a second of Steve-O. And he sets a purple sector 3. Bannister looking like he has great pace. And he's within the DRS window. Through the detection zone, he will get DRS down the Wellington Straight. So we go down to Mikey and Dastardly. Mikey just too far behind there. And Bannister gets a 3-second time penalty, and that could be important as we come to the closing stages of this race. I do not believe that Steve-O has gotten any penalties. As we are on board with Mikey. He'll have DRS, he's got plenty of overtake to work with, not using it though. And he stays behind the Ferrari as they go through Brooklands. So Bannister, still within that 1 second DRS window. He'll have DRS once again here. So he was within 1 second through the detection zone. It's a little bit of oversteer on the exit. And Mikey has gotten ahead of Dastardly. So our championship leader on those fresh soft tires with great pace. He's got the fastest lap of the race at the moment, and he gets ahead of his closest championship rival, Dastardly in the Ferrari. So Mikey will be looking to pull away from the Ferrari behind, but Dastardly staying just about within DRS range of Mikey. And Old Dad's Rule coming into pit. So Mikey and Dastardly both get past. Mikey up to 4th, Dastardly up to 5th. And Old Dad's will likely come out in 6th. Dastardly sticking close to the back of Mikey, but just outside DRS range. And this might be when Mikey starts to pull away now. That's Prev able to get past Old Dad's. And now Old Dad's looking to have a go. Getting through. And with DRS he'll be ahead as they go into Brooklands. Bannister within 1 second, once again, of our leader. He's had times where he's been able to close the gap, but not able to continue to close the gap enough to really challenge Steve-O for the lead. As we ride on board with Bannister through Maggots and Beckett's. And a car just getting out of the way there. I think that was Ted in the Williams. Making sure he doesn't interfere with this fight for the lead. Now Steve-O still maintaining his lead. As he comes into Maggots and Beckett's for the 42nd time of this race. Bannister struggling to stay within that 1 second window long enough to get DRS. As they start lap 43, 10 to go here at Silverstone. And Steve-O still holding a slim lead with Bannister challenging behind. A big gap to the rest of the pack behind Bannister. Chewy 30 seconds behind. Bannister and Steve-O really in a class of their own today. And if this result holds, it would mean that Bannister would move up into second, ahead of Dastardly in the championship standings. And now he has DRS on our race leader, closing the gap down the hanger straight. This is as close as he has been really since lap 1. Bannister really getting a good look at the rear wing of that AlphaTauri now, within half a second, as they come to the end of lap 43 now. Steve-O has been dominant in qualifying the past 3 weeks. He's won the past 2 races, looked very comfortable for him last week, but that is not the case this week. Bannister really challenging him as we come to the closing stages of this one. And we have another car retired into the pits. It's the Williams of Ted. So Ted retiring. He had a couple of unfortunate incidents and several penalties to go along with it. So he pulls into the pits and retires his car. Bannister continuing to close the gap now on our race leader. Too far behind to have a go through Stowe as they come now to the end of lap 44. Steve-O not with much battery to work with. Bannister with over 60% now as he goes through the DRS detection zone well within the 1 second window. He'll have DRS down the Wellington straight. And he's just saving up his battery now as he continues to close the gap with the help of DRS. As they go around Luffield. And he sticks right on the back of that AlphaTauri all the way through the first sector. Now down the old pit straight through Copse. DRS once again coming to the aid of the Mercedes driver. And now he's unleashing a little bit of that battery power, not much of it though. He's still got over 50% to work with as they go into Stowe. Steve-O remains in the lead. Now as they come to the end of lap 45, 7 to go here at Silverstone. And we've got a battle for the win on our hands. Bannister has been within DRS range for a couple of laps now. He'll have it once again down the Wellington straight. And he's still just saving up his overtake. Steve-O with not nearly as much saved up. But Bannister at risk of dropping out of that DRS range. Now the gap is over a second as they come into Maggots and Beckett's. And no DRS this time around for Bannister, but he's now deploying some of that overtake and closes the gap. And gets right on the back of the AlphaTauri. Now Bannister within a half second this time around, he will get DRS down the Wellington Straight. Steve-O with a little bit of overtake available, and he is using some of that to keep his advantage as they go through Brooklands and through Luffield. Bannister will have DRS once again. Steve-O dipping just a wheel in the grass on the exit onto the Hanger Straight. Bannister's still not using that overtake that he's got saved up. As they come to the end of lap 47, 5 to go here at Silverstone, and Bannister set up purple sector 3 right on the back of our race leader now. As they go through Village and round the loop, he will have DRS once again, Bannister. And he's a bit closer this time, but still just saving up that overtake. And Steve-O is able to stay ahead for the time being. And not much to separate these two drivers now. Just half a second in it. Steve-O looks to have gotten a good exit there out of Beckett's and the Chapel Curve, and Steve-O comfortably ahead as they go through Stowe. Now on to lap 49. Bannister continuing to put the pressure on our race leader. Gets really close as they go through Village there. He'll have DRS once again down the Wellington Straight. He's got so much overtake saved up. And now he starts to deploy that overtake down into Brooklyn. Still too far behind to have a move. But this is as close as he's been, I think, through Luffield, right on the gearbox of Steve-O. Still so much overtake at his disposal. Steve-O using all that he can down to 10% as they go into Cops. Steve-O getting a little bit on the grass there. And DRS once again for Bannister down the Hanger Straight, closing the gap as they come into Stowe. Bannister just getting a little bit wide there, losing maybe a tenth or two. Steve-O able to stay ahead. And is this the lap for Bannister to make his move? Still just holding off, saving as much overtake as he can. Right on the back of the AlphaTauri, not really going for a move at this particular moment. as we see a little bit of traffic ahead for Steve-O in the shape of a Ferrari. And now Bannister switches to the outside. Wheel to wheel through Stowe. Can Bannister get the move done? He is ahead. Santa Maria, what a move from Bannister. He's taken the lead with just 3 laps to go. Can Steve-O bring the pressure back and challenge Bannister? 2 laps to go now. As the Ferrari of a letdown of state is just ahead of Bannister, that is a lapped car. And Bannister still with so much overtake, and he'll have that at his disposal if he needs to use it to defend here. Great stuff in the closing laps between Steve-O and Bannister. Bannister taking the lead for the first time. And can he keep it? What will the penalty situation be like as we come to the end of this race? We know that Bannister has 1. I'm unsure if Steve-O has any at all, as Bannister gets DRS off the back marker there. So an advantage for Bannister, as he now has the gap to 1 second as they come to the end of lap 51. Bannister starting his final lap. Steve-O just a second behind. And Bannister has extended his gap enough so that Steve-O will not get DRS, I believe. No DRS down the Wellington Straight for Steve-O, using all the overtake he can to try to close the gap. He's within a second now, but still no DRS. Bannister still with plenty of overtake available, which he might need to use to defend. Likely down the hangar straight, as Steve-O continues to close the gap now. Just 6/10 between them on the final lap as we go through Maggots and Beckett's for the final time. Bannister in front, Steve-O just half a second behind. He'll get DRS down the hangar straight. Not much overtake to work with for Steve-O. And he doesn't look like he'll challenge him into Stowe, so Bannister stays in front for the time being. Just 3 corners to go as Bannister took the lead with 3 laps to go, and he comes through the final corner. Crosses the line first, but with that penalty, Steve-O gets the race win. Bannister dropping back to second with a 3-second time penalty. Steve-O with no penalties the entire race. Very impressive drive from both drivers, but Steve-O takes the race win once again. And taking our 3rd step on the podium is Chewy in the Red Bull. And our championship leader in 4th, just Mikey, crosses the line. Dastardly, who was 2nd in the championship standings coming into this race, comes 5th. He'll likely drop back in the championship standings, as Bannister and Steve-O both got good results, and Old Dads crosses the line 6th. As Prev coming out of Stowe will be our last car to finish up here as he comes round club for the final time. What a race that was. Steve-O, our race winner once again. Action-packed throughout. A really enjoyable race. And a letdown of state, our driver of the day. So we see the AlphaTauri driver, Steve-O, getting his third straight race win. Really impressive drive from him. And massive credit to Bannister. Able to put the pressure on in those closing laps. So, taking you through our final classification of the British Grand Prix. It is Steve-O getting the race win, Bannister coming home second, Chewy gets third, Mikey gets fourth, Dastardly finishes fifth, in sixth we have Old Dad's Rule, seventh we have Prev, eighth a letdown of state, ninth Sega to Cause, 10th CHM, and then two retirees, Ted and Strident, not finishing today. So that's all from Silverstone, as we might get the opportunity to talk to a couple drivers here. And now we are joined by the man who crossed the line first, but ended up being classified second. Bannister, a great drive from you. Were you aware of the penalty situation in those closing laps?
Yeah, I got the penalty on about lap 37, and I was trying to just stay behind Steve-O and force him into a mistake, but it didn't work, so unfortunate, but it happens.
It was great to see, as we saw Steve-O with a really comfortable win last time out at Austria, but you really put the pressure on him today. So not getting the win, but is it encouraging to see that you had the pace to really challenge him today?
Yeah, that was surprising. I didn't think I was going to be as quick as him. I made a little mistake in qualifying, which put me off a bit, but I didn't think I'd have the pace on the mediums to stay with him like that, but I did, so it's all good.
Yeah, really good race for you.
Well done to him, because he were clean all the way. So
yeah, it's got to be said, a tough track to go penalty free, but he was able to do it all the way through there. So now looking at the championship, you'll close the gap to Mikey and extend your gap to Dastardly behind. Are you looking to maybe have a go at Mikey here in the championship? A really good result for you, not the best result for him. So
I've got one of my favourite tracks coming up at Hungary as well, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, well done today. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, mate.
Great race. It was fun to watch. That was Bannister. So, don't think we'll be able to get a hold of any of the other drivers, but we hope you enjoyed it. It was a thrilling race start to finish. Steve-O got the race win, and looking forward to next week as we go to Hungary. We'll see you then. Everybody have a good week. Thank you.